Hey guys, this is Statue Chick coming at you with another review, Pop Culture Shock's Lord of Darkness. So here he is, Lord of Darkness. This has been a piece that was put out for pre-order 4 years ago, so some people have been waiting about 4 years for him to finally arrive, and he has now made it out into the public. It is now in hand. He's sold out. There was 150 of these pieces made, and I was able to get an artist proof. I know of 4 other people with them. Originally I heard there were only going to be 5, but I'm assuming there's got to be more if I know of all of them. And not sure exactly how many they decided to go with. But there was a lot of questions when the first in-hand pics came out about whether or not the quality was there as expected. And that would be the fact that they left out the acrylic eyes and the acrylic teeth. The skin coloring seemed a little bit off, and definitely the shading of the face and parts of the body. But I'll go ahead and get into the review and go over all this in detail. So the first concern that there was the shading and the look of the face. It didn't seem to match up to what people remembered seeing in the cons for the prototype. And even the guys that put out the first few pictures, Alex and Gio from Rad Titan, they said themselves that the piece looked phenomenal in person, that it wasn't coming across through the photos as well as it was actually made, and that there was shading in the face that you couldn't see through the pictures. And that's 100% correct. Once I pulled mine out of the box, I was completely relieved. So I'm trying to do some different angles, and I'm going to give you a lot of looks at the face just to see if you can get a good idea of what to expect. He really does change a lot for the angles and different lighting, but in person, 100% better than it's going to come across in these videos. I noticed on the back, there really isn't much shading there. Not much on the head, but there is a little bit. But it has natural definition, so it creates that natural shading. So it's not really, you're not missing anything by that. And the horns are made really nicely. I like the texturing that they did with the rings around it. They both have a real considerable weight to them as well when you take them out. So at this angle, I have the light above him just a little bit behind, and it really lets the shading that they did in the face come out. To me, it looks pretty close to the prototype, if not exactly. Oh, I'm not going to say exactly because there are a couple of things. The eyes, that is one thing I wish they would have stuck with the original concept of the acrylic, because they were set back a little bit further and that yellow wasn't quite so vivid. The teeth, though, I like how they turned out. So I'm trying to show you what the difference of lighting can do to this piece. As I turn, the skin coloring gets a little darker and he looks much more defined. Just by that little bit of movement that I did, it changed the look quite a bit. And it'll do that on this whole entire piece. In hand, it's not going to be so harsh, but it does have a huge effect, which is different for me. I mean, every piece that I have, or we all have, does get affected by light, just not to the degree that this one does. Here's a close-up of the staff that he has, and I don't know what it is, a little dragon worm or what, but it's pretty cool. It has a nice kind of worn look to it, and it's just another sculpted piece, but they took their time and did a really good job on it. It has a little niche at the bottom of the base where the staff rests to keep it in place. A little tip, putting the staff together, you're going to want to slide the staff up through the hand before placing him in the base. Once you place him in the base, you're not going to be able to get the right angle to do that, and you're going to end up having to slide the staff all the way down and risk scraping the paint, which you don't want to do. I wanted to give you a close-up of the hands also, because I was always curious what the claws looked like before I got my piece up close and personal. And I noticed when doing that, there was some nice work on the little details of the wrinkles of the hands, the veins, the bones. They did a good job. So I wanted to give you a close-up of the front of the base too, with the, I guess, tangled bodies everywhere in a big pile of tangleness. I don't know, but it has a nice color to it. It's a pretty cool base, and the rest of it have these leaves that run around, and I believe that they were also included in the movie in his lair around his fireplace. So a little bit of movie accuracy, I guess they threw in there. Here's just a quick 360 because you can see the front of the legs in pretty much every picture, but you can't really get a good look at what's behind, where all the fur is actually at. And I think that they did a really good job in this area. It came out with a good amount of quality. I had a feeling that it could come out looking cheap, almost like, you know, those trolls that they have, those piggy bank trolls or whatnot, with the crazy wild hair, like that just looks like fried. I had a feeling like maybe it would look like that, and it doesn't. It looks pretty nice, like maybe actually real hair on this creature might look. So I was happy and impressed with the way that it turned out. Wanted to at least give you a good visual of what to expect there. So here's a close view of the pleather chaps that they have on the statue, and I think this is great detail. I think they put a lot of work into all these little fine details, and it paid off. I love the little rings that connect the pleather material, the tassels hanging down, all that. I do think that they should have made the material look a little weathered, because it basically looks like brand new material that was just cut right off the press and slapped onto his body. But it still does have a great look to it, and I wouldn't call that nitpicking, but it's something that could be overlooked easily. So that's just my little opinion on that area. The back here, where the belt is, it's an insane amount of detail that they've paid attention to on, like, his wrists, his shoulders, his, you know, waist here, all those little gold, like, whatever his uniform or suit would be, like, it's all done super, super detailed. Looks really good. There's the back of his fur in a little bit different lighting, but even down to his hooves, those are really detailed as well. They didn't skip over anything on this piece, which I really appreciate as a collector. So here in the front of the hooves, you can see where they sculpted the hair above the top of the hoof, and it looks like it's just wet hair. It mixes with the hair, the fur that's running down the leg really well. It's a really good job. That's all I can say. They did a really great job on all these little details of the piece. It's just fantastic. Really happy with how it turned out. So I've turned him around to face the light and get a little bit more exposure so I can get into the eyes and the teeth a little bit better. You can see how it changes his look a little though too. But the teeth, they decided not to go with acrylic. I'm okay with that. I think it looks really good. Probably could have lightened up on the black lipstick just a little bit, but that's alright. The one thing I do wish that they had changed is the eyes. They stand out too much. It's too much yellow for me. It doesn't look natural. I like the way the prototype looked more, but it's not gonna, ruin the piece for me. Here's a little area I wanted to give him a thumbs up on. The ears are not connected to the horns, whereas on the Sideshow premium format, it's all like connected to that area. And yeah, this looks much, much better, more accurate. This is also just another video of like his face and his stomach, but just in different lighting. So you can see the skin tone has changed a little bit. It's a little bit more vibrant red, whereas when the light was a little bit behind him, not so much exposure, it came out a little softer toned red. Here's another look at some of the fine detail that you can see they put into this piece. put a lot of time and effort into him. And I guess you could say to be expected on 4-year wait, but it really did come out fantastic, for me at least. All the tassels everywhere, the little jewels that are placed on his shoulders and his waist and on his back of his suit, you know, his belt. It looks fantastic. I like the gold paint that they used. One thing is, it would have been nice if the unicorn horn was removable, because it's sculpted into the piece, but I'm okay with that too. It just would have been a nice touch to be able to take that off. The cape is huge. I mean, it's like possibly a wedding gown length material. Like, the guy is just all kinds of fantastic. But you know, it clicks on with this little tiny magnet that they have in the cape there, and it just snaps right onto the magnet in his bracelets. So when putting them together, you know, if you're looking for it, it basically finds itself. It's pretty cool that they're like that. But it's a see-through material. It might have been nicer if it was a little bit thicker, but it still has a really great look to it. So I'm not gonna knock it for that. But yeah, it's pretty awesome. But yeah, so when it comes to the actual piece, I'm really happy with it. I also want to show you some side-by-sides though. So on the left is what you would see at the Comic-Cons. It was their prototype. On the right is my piece in hand. And again, on the left prototype, right in hand, the lighting changes the skin color. The only thing I can say that's different is the eyes. Other than that, I'm 100% happy. So that's gonna end my review. I wanted to show you as much as I possibly can to go over all the things that people were worried about when it came to this piece. The waist, I didn't really touch on, but he does not look as thin in person as he does in some of those photos. So that's something that you shouldn't really worry about too much. Absolutely fantastic piece. I would give it a strong 9 out of 10. I want to say thanks for hanging out with me today, and take care of yourselves. Keep on collecting, guys. Bye.